What's up, YouTube fans? Today I'm going to be doing my year-end review of Masterpiece Transformers. I've got out here on the table some of the entries. There's some that I got rid of, so this is pretty much everything I have left from the year that I got that came in 2017. So we're going to take a look at some of these, and I'm going to give you my top 3 best and the top 3 worst, and we'll go from there. Before we get started, I just wanted to say this year in review is only for figures that I bought. I'm not going to rate figures I don't have, obviously. So this is just things that I bought. I pretty much bought every Masterpiece Transformer that came out from both third party. I don't think about every third party, but at least from Takara and most of the third party ones. So we'll go through that, and we'll pick a top 3 and bottom 3 and talk about what's coming up for 2018. Alright guys, so our number 3 worst Transformer for the year is the X-Transbots Elegos, their version of Cyclonus. Now, when you look at this guy, he doesn't look bad at all. Actually, it looks really good in both modes, but the transformation is awful. It's a nightmare. It's really easy to break. People broke all sorts of things on it. I broke right here. It's kind of hard to see. That tab right there, I glued it back on. People broke the cockpit inside because you had to click it down before you moved it. Lots of tabs and stuff. So this is the problem with X-Transbots, right? They make these beautiful, beautiful robots that look really good in robot mode and in vehicle mode or alt mode, but they're flimsy, and I really hope they can come back this year. They're coming out with Toro, their cliff jumper homage. I'm gonna get that because I don't have a cliff jumper. I really hope they improve their quality, because it looks like they have. Even their Klaatu, or whatever their Cosmos figure was, that looked pretty good, but I'm not willing to pull the trigger until I can see for sure that they've improved their quality. So in the meantime, I kept this guy. I didn't throw him away, just because he is the only Cyclonus out there, Masterpiece Cyclonus. By the way, this whole review is going to be only for Masterpiece figures. I'm not going to include things that are not Masterpiece Transformers, any other kinds of things, like Star Wars figures or Titans Returns or any of those kind of stuff are not part of this. I'm only including Takara, Hasbro, and third-party Masterpiece figures. So here we have our number 3 worst figure. So for our number 2 worst figure, I don't have it anymore, so I'm just putting this here so you guys can have something to look at. But here he is. The number 2 worst figure is Wei Zhang's oversized KO of the Throttlebots from Toy World. Toy World already had a pretty poor, I guess you could call mold or quality on those figures. They were not the greatest transformations, and coming together as a combiner, they weren't that solid. They were a little bit loose and stuff like that. And then Wei Zhang came along, made it bigger, and it was even more floppy and kind of a mess. Some of the cars looked really cool in robot mode, but when in combined mode, it was just kind of a fail. I ended up selling it. It looked good, and especially looked good next to Devastator, but overall, it was just too clumsy and a little too, it just wasn't solid, you know, and that's what you get for getting a KO. I've since changed my mind on KOs. You know, I no longer support KOs of third-party figures. So this guy here, I don't plan to buy any more KOs of third-party figures. I think third-party has a hard enough time keeping the market they have already, without Wei Zhang coming along and stealing their designs or reproducing them in a slightly changed way. So I don't support that anymore. If I'm going to buy a KO, it's going to be of a Takara figure, because I believe their bottom line profit margin can support it, and it actually pushes them to reduce the price on their figures, which their prices are outrageous right now. They're $200+ prices are ridiculous, so I have no problem buying a KO of Takara figures just so that they can feel the pain a little bit and bring their price down, which they haven't. But, so yeah, here's the number 2 worst figure, Wei Zhang KO oversized Throttlebot Combiner. And the number 1 worst figure of the year, again, this is just for you guys to look at, is the Toy World Crank, their version of Cup. I reviewed this thing. Oh man, it's awful. It was, joints were loose, the paint was off, the colors were off. It just didn't stand well. It came at a time when Toy World was kind of going down the tubes a little bit. Right now, Toy World and Zeta are going through this weird thing where Zeta Toys is re-releasing all of the molds that they got, or I guess they won the rights to from Toy World. So you have Coolsville coming re-released, and you have their RC figure, which was not great. I forgot what it was called. They're re-releasing all of those figures, and they're not even changing the quality. So I don't know if that's a good thing for Zeta Toys to do, is to re-release those semi-poor quality figures again under their name. Why not just fix them, update the molds a little bit, and make it a little better, and then release it under your name and make it better. We'll see if they re-release Constructor, but if they do, I really hope they make some quality control changes to that figure, because there are some quality control issues. But number 1 worst figure of the year for me is Toy World Crank. I sold it right away, that's why I don't have it. So here you get a picture here. So that's it for that. We will now go into the best figures of the year. So number 3 best figure of the year, and this is a little ironic because I just talked about Toy World, is Toy World's Coolsville. This also has some QC issues, okay? It's not perfect, and I understand why people don't necessarily like this. Zeta Toys is re-releasing this exactly the same way with maybe a little paint. The reason this is in my top 3 is the look. It looks so much like the G1 character in both robot and vehicle mode. It's die-cast metal all over the place. The whole car, when you picked it up and you had it in car mode, it felt like the G1 toy. It was so nostalgic, and the way they designed it, it looked really good. You know, there wasn't a lot of kibble or anything. It fit in with the other Masterpiece cars. I just thought they did a great job on the design. Yeah, it's got a few minor QC issues, especially getting into car mode. There's trying to push it together. That was one of the problems that a lot of people had. I didn't have that problem, but a lot of people had that issue. And so I understand why people might not like this figure. But for me, this was groundbreaking, at least in the terms of Masterpiece cars. Having a really nice die-cast, nicely weighted, well posed, well painted. The paint here, this was not, I don't know if it's Tampo paint, but it's really well done either way. It just really is amazing. And when I compared it to Downbeat, Make Toys Downbeat, they had a great mold too, and maybe even a better mold, but what they were missing was all the paint. They were missing all these details on the paint, the stripes. And that's what I wanted. That for me is what's nostalgic. Again, these are my opinions. For me, this was one of the top releases for the year. Granted, Toy World has had their ups and downs. I think this is one of their ups. And I hope they can come back to this level of quality on their figures. But that is the number 3 best for the year. So here is the number 2 best for the year, is Fans Toys Coot, their cup homage. This thing looks amazing in robot mode. There's this face sculpt there with the cigar. Looks great in robot mode, looks great in vehicle mode. It's got a target master, it's got a gun. It's die cast, it's heavy, it's got great paint, it's got great details, it's got these, when I first picked it up, again, this is my first Fans Toys figure, and when I first picked it up, literally like picked it up with my hand, it just felt amazing. I didn't know that it was going to be so chunky and beefy and high quality. Yes, there are problems with the transformation, right? Especially getting into vehicle mode. There are some difficulties getting the panels in. I agree with that. It is hard to transform, but once you get into vehicle mode, it is the perfect Cup. It looks just like Cup, at least for me. It looks just like the G1 Cup, right, from the cartoon. And for me, that's kind of what really stands out. Now, of course, you can't have too many quality problems like the X-Transbot Cyclonus. That looked great, but it had just too much of quality issues. This hasn't broken on me. I've transformed it back a couple times, and I've had no issues. Nothing's stressed, nothing's breaking. So, yeah, it's a little tough, and yeah, you gotta move some panels out of the way, but man, it's a solid release. This for me is the best Masterpiece Cup. So there you have the number 2 best figure for the year. And number 1 best figure for 2017 is Takara's Masterpiece Megatron. Now, maybe people have kind of forgot kind of what this was. This was a landmark release for Takara. It took them forever to come back and reproduce this guy. The original Megatron was probably in the worst top 3 worst Masterpiece figures ever made. Just it was tall and spindly, and it didn't stand right, it didn't pose right, it didn't look right, it wasn't solid, didn't transform well. It was all around bad. And then they came out with this, and it was just it looks amazing. The head sculpt, the sculpt of the character, the accessories it comes with, the talking gun, the gun mode itself, which I rarely transform this guy because I like him in robot mode, but you can transform him. It wasn't impossible like the X-Transbots version that I had. I never had Make Toys. I just didn't like the look. It was a little too fat for me. But this guy is the perfect size for me, and he's easy to transform, and it's good. It looks really good. So this, I think, was the first time we saw Takara come back and say to the third parties, we're gonna release something better than what you've got, right? And it's gonna blow your stuff away, and the collectors don't need what you've got anymore. I don't need X-Transbots or Make Toys or any of the other Masterpiece Megatrons that came out. I think DX9 had one too. This is the one for me. This is the best one. Now, they did try that with some of their other figures. They had what's his name, Masterpiece Grapple. I do like the Masterpiece Grapple, but that one is kind of borderline. Is it the best version? I don't know. Maybe the engineering is the best, but in terms of looks and detail and quality, that's debatable. But for me, this is the Masterpiece Megatron. There's no doubt about it. It's the best one. Now, I have another figure that's in my top 3, but it's not a Masterpiece Transformer, so I couldn't put it in the top 3. But I am going to show it to you. This is my number 1 figure for the year. Any kind of robot figure, this for me was the best thing that was made in 2017, regardless of whether it was a Transformer or something else. So we'll be right back with that. And here is the wild card number 1 best figure of the year. The Bandai Soul of Chogokin GX71 Voltron. Yes, this is not a Masterpiece Transformer. It is Masterpiece-esque, but it's obviously not a Transformer. Totally different line, totally different show. But I had to mention it because this thing is amazing. So this is the most expensive expensive figure I've ever purchased. It was $300 for the set. But well worth it. Each of these alone are amazing on their own. They all come with their own weapons. It's come with the stand. It comes with the weapons for Voltron and combine mode. It combines in it's incredibly stable. It's got really good joints, really good articulation in all the modes, in the line modes and the combine mode. Each line individually is really good, and the combined one is really good. I just couldn't have asked for a better Voltron. I have no plans to buy another Voltron ever again in my life. This is the one that's gonna, basically be the one I'm gonna keep. And I wasn't even actually planning to buy it. They just saw it and it was just so, it looked so good that I decided, yeah, this is something I'd have. Now it looks like this thing is like in the secondary market up to $500, $600. It's hard to get. So if you missed out on it, it kind of sucks. You kind of had to get it, but it's got everything you'd want. It's got paint, it's got die cast, it's got weapons, it's got accessories, it's got a solid combine mode, it's got details. I mean, everything, and it just works. So I know this isn't Masterpiece Transformers, but I had to show it off. It's probably the best thing in my collection in terms of quality. People are very impressed when they see this. They always stop and ask about it. They want to pick it up. Unfortunately, I'm scared to have people pick it up because it's so expensive, but I've had, you know, my nephews and uncles and stuff pick it up, and they think it's really cool. So that's it, guys. We had a really good year. I wish that Fans Hobby had made it in 2017 with their Power Baser figure. I ordered that back in September. It's still not here, so as soon as we get that, we'll review it. I believe it's coming this week or next week, and we'll get that review out, but it did not make it in the 2017 list because it didn't make it, the production release didn't make it yet. I know there was a lot of pre-production reviews that went out, and I was hoping to get it before that, but just didn't happen. But I'm really looking forward to what's coming out in 2018. There's a lot of good stuff sort of in production or in waiting. We'll see you in 2018. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.